Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Markets Podcast.
Your website is the most important thing for you. That
Hmm.
is basically your company portfolio.
That website is your salesperson. That salesperson does not sleep, does not go to washroom, does not go
No,
do anything, always
correct.
represent you.
Because you still need that personal touch of a
Hmm.
marketing agent.
Hmm.
A lot of people within the construction industry still think that my referral should speak volumes. I don't need to spend money on marketing. And I think this is a general segment of thought, not just in the construction industry, but for anybody.
The construction industry, the same industry Marketist works with. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Markets Podcast. Today I'm joined by someone who has built an agency around a niche that many marketers avoid because it's considered difficult. The construction industry, the same industry Marketist works with. Our guest is Anuschka, Managing Director of AR Consulting, a South African agency that specializes exclusive in social and digital marketing of construction companies, suppliers, contractors, engineers, and the built in environment sector. Unlike many agencies trying to serve everyone, AR consulting seems like to focus on one industry and has spent years of understanding how construction businesses buy, sell, build trust, and win projects. Anushka, thank you so much for taking the time out and welcome to the Markets Podcast.
Thank you so much. Pleasure to be here.
So, first of all, I would love to start with with your own journey, right? Because you did not begin in marketing first. You
No.
spent many years in sales and construction related industries first. So, can you walk us through how you moved from sales leadership into a building a specialist construction marketing agency, and what problem you felt the industry wasn't solving properly at that time?
Sure. So as you've mentioned, I started in it was still within the construction industry, but it was a national sales manager for a manufacturing textile company. And while in that role, I used to bid a little bit in their social media marketing for them. I think that's where the bug sort of bit me, to be quite honest. But unfortunately, due to unforeseen family circumstances, my daughter unfortunately got really ill, and she required full time attention. So it made the difficult decision to leave my business at the time, at my position at the time, but easier, I suppose. And then while at home, I realized that while there's a lot of marketing companies within the industry, none of them really had a niche for the construction industry.
Hmm.
Now, everybody from the industry will know the construction industry is the devil on its own. They speak a different lingo. They everything is fast paced. They don't really have time to sit down and explain things, and that is where I saw the gap in the market to create this agency that could actually be their arm, their external arm, but knowing the lingo, knowing what to say, knowing how to approach certain audiences within the construction industry. And that's exactly how AR started, where we decided that we would create this marketing arm for the construction industry, the various arms in the industry. Because we know the industry, we know how to talk, so they didn't have to baby us basically.
Wonderful. So, for the past, you have been working for years. You have been involved in construction and construction marketing for many years. So, when you compare how construction companies marketed themselves before, like 10, 15 years ago, versus today, what do you think has changed the most?
So the construction industry has traditionally always marketed on referrals. So they never ever saw the need to do any sort of marketing. It was what a client would say of their jobs, or how you would perceive them on their last job that they did for you. So that has changed, and they've had to keep up with the times. So what that means is everything has gone digital now. Even marketing to such a point that in the old days they also used to, when you go to architects, they used to be a librarian, and
Hmm.
for you to get past that librarian, she had to like you had to make sure your product was known to her, because or her or him, because if it wasn't, then your product wouldn't be known or specified. That has changed so much and given everybody an even playing field now. Where we say that LinkedIn is one of the main sources. It's basically all the companies' hubs to create that awareness of your product. So it's actually changed to the advantage of the construction industry than it has in the past.
All right. So, in your opinion, what are construction companies still getting wrong in 2026 when it comes to marketing, business development, and building their brand till now? Like even in 2026, with AI and all that, with all the equal platforms for everyone, what are those things they still miss in their marketing?
So I think one of the challenges is that the biggest challenge is to stand out. I mean, there's a lot of similar companies within the industry, so you need to make sure you stand out from the competition. Um, I think a lot of the companies also are not consistent. So, unfortunately, it's that rule of, when things are tough in the construction industry, current with the world economy as it is, we feel it the most. And the first thing that would go would be the marketing, which is actually the last thing that should go. So I think a lot of companies at this time are still not seeing that as a tool and an
Hmm.
advantage to actually be ahead of the competition. And then when they do it, not for a short period of time, it has to be for a length of period, like indefinite. The sale in some of the industries within construction, the decision doesn't just happen overnight. It's a
Hmm.
long process, especially when it
Process.
comes to tenders and projects that are in the pipeline. You can't want to come at the end of that and think, why am I not being chosen? Why we're not being selected? Why we're not being specified? If you're not doing the work in the background on a continuous basis.
Hmm.
And that would also not just be LinkedIn, that would be your website. That would be Google Ads, that would be Google Business, that would be, you've got to show your credibility. And everybody goes online at this time, in the world. Um, if they don't see your presence, they don't get to know you through social media or digital presence, you have a very slim chance of actually getting your product out there.
Exactly. What I see, my next question is around referrals. What I see in construction industry and with the sub industries, even contractors of all types, right? They are mostly dependent on referrals, right? Because I have seen this because we also focus on construction industries. Do you think referrals alone are enough anymore? And what risks do businesses face when they don't invest in marketing systems alongside referrals?
So referrers is always still historically the best way to get the product or to get your service out, to get known.
Hmm.
However, it is not the only thing that's going to help. And why I say that is because everything is evolving. There's constant evolving within the industry, within marketing itself. There's new people coming into play. So how are the new people that are going to be the decision makers on whether to use you as a provider going to know anything about you? So I always say marketing has become less about advertising and more about building trust. And the way they can build their trust is you are showing them your work, which be through projects, through testimonials. And you can't do that alone through referrals. I mean, a lot of people, especially if you're an international company that wants to, do work within South Africa, or South Africans wanting to do work within Africa, it's the only way to get credible information out there. Is through advertising.
Hmm. All right, so I have seen your work a little bit on LinkedIn. You have written several times that businesses are judged before anyone even picks up the phone. You just mentioned also. What do you think potential clients, the architects, contractors, or procurement teams are actually evaluating when they research a construction company online?
So for them, the most important is to see the proof.
Hmm.
So, any marketing company can have a lovely, spread to say we do this, and we're an expert in this, but it still comes down to proof. They want to see not static images. They want to see images that have actually been created to craft of their work. Let me put it that way. So if they don't see that, they're not going to want to engage with you. They're also going to want to see how relative are you with on the digital platforms, like, how are you spoken, how updated is your pages, and that be your LinkedIn or any of your social media pages as well as your website. People tend to forget how important a website is,
Hmm.
which is still the hub of information. So before they contact you, they're going to do their research and they're going to want to see how relevant are you within the market. And the only way they can do that is through your digital footprint.
Wonderful. As you mentioned, that website is important. A lot of what I see online is a lot of people run ads and they send the traffic to their home pages on website. Even they do ads on LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram, or whatever platform they choose. But they end up on the website, which is old, outdated, and
Correct.
it's not been updated like for years. Well, my next question is around that. How important is the relationship between social media visibility and website credibility? Because I feel it is very important. You cannot go without both of these, right?
No.
What do you think?
So to me, your website is the most important thing for you. That is basically your company portfolio, and it has to be updated all the time. As you clearly said and correctly said, if you've got a website, it doesn't matter how interactive this website is, it doesn't matter how easy it is to navigate. If the information hasn't been updated, and I'm not saying it has to be updated every month, but at least twice a year, especially if it's the bigger contractors with their big projects that they do. People are also just going to say, well, this doesn't look new, this isn't right, this is not what I want. You also are not going to get that engagement. It's all good and well to have social media, but it's always driving you to the website because that is the hub of the company or the brand. So you can be great at the social media section and sell yourself really, really well, but it will be a real letdown when they go to the website and the two aren't talking to each other. There's
Exactly.
no cohesion between the two because this is really the latest thing that you're talking about, and there's always trends within the industry. And then they go to your website and it's nothing about what you're saying. It's nothing, for example, let's say free prefab offices and pre-built offices is the latest thing, but you go to your website and there's no work of that, what you've done. Then they're like, okay, well, next one. But they'll just move on.
Hmm. So I feel website, like I always tell my clients, I always tell my team as well, that website is your salesperson. That salesperson does not sleep, does not go to washroom, does not go
No,
do anything, always
correct,
represent you all the
correct,
time. Whatever happens, even you are running ads, not running ads, website is your representative. It should be designed as a salesperson. It should be
correct.
like visible, as you mentioned, that it should have all the projects mentioned, updated, like that. So I take it as a salesperson who is always online for you.
That's actually
Also,
a
my
very good look at it.
yes, I always tell everyone, even my team or even my clients as well. So, my next question is around, if you had to audit a construction company's website today, what are the first things you would check to determine whether that website will generate opportunities or lose them?
So the first thing we looked at is your landing page. It's very important that your landing page be such that it's inviting the user, number one. Number two, that there's a clear image of what you're about. There's no use you having these pretty moving banners and things like this, but it's not telling the client. Because remember, the rule of thumb for most any industry website is if a client has to hover longer than 3 seconds because they can't find the information, you've lost them. And then
Hmm.
that's not going to help. So what we look at is when we land on that page, is it giving us straight away what we want? And then number two, how interactive is it? So can we move around the website easily, or is it asking us too many times to click to too many places to get the information we want? So that's what we always tell the clients. Get the client to stay there by having the information, the necessary information to grab their attention, and then you start going to the different sections.
Wonderful. So, while creating websites, I always tell everyone that you should follow this simple method that is called AIDA model. You must have heard it, AIDA. uh, once you grab the attention, it should be like on the hero section should be attention seeking. There should be a CTA. Then you create interest, then you create desire, then you give the CTA right at the end. So
Correct.
follow this in landing page in your LinkedIn. Even these days, I don't count LinkedIn as a LinkedIn profile. It is a landing page for you, because if you
Absolutely.
see, it has the image at the top, your good profile picture, your name, and you what you do, the tagline, and about you, then what your
Correct.
experience look like, then testimonials, like that. It is a
Yes.
proper landing page. So yeah, okay. So my next question would be around branding, right? How do you think construction companies or businesses should balance investment between branding, LinkedIn presence, website, SEO, and Google Ads? Where should businesses actually invest first?
So it's very important for your brand to be let's say you if you don't have a brand, it doesn't matter what message you're sending out, it's not going to stick. So brand awareness is of big importance as well. And then I would say, especially I'm talking obviously from my industry, the construction industry, LinkedIn is our biggest and main platform that we do use. And the reason for that is because obviously of the audience we are trying to attract, the decision makers. And it comes back then to the brand. If you don't have a proper brand, it doesn't matter what message you're going to put out there, it's not going to stick. I always like to come back to the analogy of Coca-Cola. I mean, everybody knows that they see the colors and they straight away their mind will think to the red and the black. They'll think Coca-Cola before they'll even know. And that's exactly what we try and achieve with our clients. So branding, when it also comes to your colors and the fonts, and it's very important because all of that plays on a visual aspect of potential customers, as well as on the psyche of the customers. So they might not always know, they see something that's green and orange, and that was your brand, and straight away they'll think of your name, but in actual fact, it wasn't you. So that's what we're saying, why brand is so important. It's not just about putting a logo together and about putting a statement together or anything, a slogan. It all has to be thought of, because that's going to basically be your platform going forward.
Exactly. So yesterday I was discussing with another guest on my podcast. We were discussing the similar things, and we decided that if you provide the same services, right, then you should have a differentiator. You can have differentiator in two things: one, your product or service, and other thing is your story, right? Whatever you deliver, how you
Yes,
deliver, how you position yourself. So that
correct.
is why, again, as you mentioned, if you don't have like any differentiator in your service or product, you should come up with a differentiator in your story. Could be anything. You should
Absolutely.
place it, right?
Yes.
Like as you gave the example of Coca-Cola, right? They target the youth. They target the youth, young people, right? If you go talk about McDonald's, they target the kids and youth as well, along with that. So again, the story. If you can't, like, KFC and McDonald's provide the same thing, but they both have different story, different branding, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Every brand has to have its story that speaks to the audience you're trying to attract.
Mm.
That is like the starting point of anything.
So, what do you think? How construction company would position themselves? Like, what stories, like what angles could they come up with to position themselves as a brand?
So, so it obviously depends on each industry within the construction industry. But I always say that there has to be something that sticks out for your company or brand that people would notice,
Hmm.
because for one architect, there's 1,000 other architects. So, what is their niche within that we could hone on and concentrate on?
Hmm.
You can't be an expert at everything. So, let's say you're really good at building at different levels or whatever.
Hmm.
Then we need to hone on that and make that stick out for you to be different to someone else. Um, you have to have something that you can offer the industry, because obviously there's 1,000 people of the same industry, so you need to offer them something that sticks out and then makes people notice you.
Wonderful. My next question, because I love Google Ads and I love Google, because my next question is around Google. A lot of construction companies underestimate the power or role of Google search when decision makers are searching suppliers, contractors, and service providers. Do you think is there any kind of reason they underestimate, or they have some kind of bad experience? What do you think? Because you work with different clients.
Okay, so within our industry, the construction industry, we always know that every single penny is counted.
Hmm.
So Google Ads, we always push the Google Ads, even Google My Business,
Hmm.
because it's a wonderful tool to get the business noticed. But it's also, traditionally in our industry, it's everything comes at a price tag, and they don't really want to send it. So I feel that it's definitely gaining momentum in our industry because the results are there, because people have taken that risk and gone with it. But if there was anything that wouldn't want them to fully invest in it, it would just be because of the outlay of the cost of Google Ads. And as we all know, if you want a really successful campaign with Google, it's not about starting at the minimum; it's about going as high as you can. To get your AdWords out there, and but yeah, it's definitely increasing in the construction industry, which is really great to see, um, but still baby steps.
All right, wonderful. You explained wonderfully. My next is section is about client challenges, right? You work with a lot of clients, right? When a construction company approaches AR consulting for help, what problems are your customers or your clients usually experiencing internally or externally? Are they struggling with the leads, visibility, positioning, or is there anything else?
Okay, so when clients approach us, and we've got some really big clients, we've got offices here and in London as well. It's purely about getting the right message out there and speaking the industry's lingo, so the language. So, and for us, that's coming from the background, from the industry background. My team consists of various people like architects, retired architects, draftsmen.
Hmm.
Everybody has got some sort of construction industry background, and that helps. So when they come to us, it's not that they don't have internal marketing; it's they just don't know how to get the message across effectively. Um, and then some of the companies don't have a marketing company, so it comes back down to the inconsistency. So they don't understand, like, okay, I've put myself out there. Okay, when was that? 2 months ago. Well, people have forgotten you already. We tell clients, even if you post once a week, it should be twice a week, really, because there's so many people on LinkedIn, there's so many feeds that come across, you could be forgotten. So a lot of the clients that approach us is purely because they want to be noticed. They want to penetrate the market with where people with the right language, so that people would actually sit up and notice them and not just think, oh, okay, this is just another person trying to get their brand out.
Okay, so what are the biggest misconception construction companies or business owners have about marketing? Like, because you have been working in UK and South Africa as well. So,
So the biggest thing is, like I said, it's to get that mindset of how what we spoke about earlier about referrals. There's a lot of people within the construction industry who still think that my referral should speak volumes. I don't need to spend money on marketing. And I think this is a general segment of thought, not just in the construction industry, but for anybody. That marketing is a unnecessary expense to the company.
hmm,
They feel that they shouldn't have to spend as much money on marketing as what we would like them to. And the only reason for that is to keep them relevant and to keep them in the face of the audience. You will notice I like to always come back to Coca-Cola. They are such a $1 billion industry that they don't really need to advertise if they didn't want to, but they do. They continue to
yes.
do it. It's to
Hmm.
keep them relevant and to keep them known, that because there's always newcomers coming into the market. There's always new competition coming into the market. So you must make sure that you are present even when the new competition comes in. So that is the biggest thing that we find, the challenge that we find is for their mindset to change around marketing, for their mindset to realize that just like they need a printer to print or a laptop to help them, they need marketing to grow their company and their footprint within the market.
Wonderful. So my next few questions would be around agency because I'm an agency founder as well. Okay. So how important is choosing one niche and work around it, because a lot of you chose to go with construction industry and you niche down industry wise, right? You did not niche down location wise or skill wise, but you niche down industry wise. How important is that? A lot of agency owners, even founders, make this mistake and they provide services to everyone and they end up with nothing. How do you see this, and how what do you want to tell them how important that is?
So, so it's very important to find a niche and to hone in on a specific uh, knowledge, I'd say. And the reason I chose construction was because I knew construction. I'd come from the background, so I understood. I don't know everything about construction. I'm still learning. After many, many years in the industry, you still learn, which is very exciting. But that, I think, is what people need to understand is you can't wear too many hats and expect it never to rain on you.
Hmm.
So what we do is we stick to what we know. We know construction. We know what, how to bring that across to the people. If someone had to come to me today and say to me, and as much as I love lipstick, could you please market my lipstick brand for me? I wouldn't know where to start because it's never interested me in that way. I've had no exposure to it. So I would do the brand the injustice. Yes, you could sit and you could find out about it, and that's exactly what we do as an agency. When we get a new client on board, it doesn't matter what sector they are. And we even have clients that are do software within the industry, so that's not physical labor work on site. We'll do our investigation and to find out about it. But what makes it easier is we understand where the end result is going to be used and how that has to be perceived or presented to the audience. So my advice and what has worked very well for me is pick something that speaks to you, that you know about, that you can grow on. It's no use going into something that you have no idea. Yes, of course, you can always learn, but
Hmm.
as you clearly said, if you put too many things in and you're not familiar with a lot of things, it's just going to implode. So that's why I chose construction because I've always had a passion for it. Being a little bit of a tomboy growing up, um, it was just a natural route for me to go.
Wonderful. All right. So, how do you structure your team in your agency? Do you prefer in-house teams or you hire on remote basis? Like how exactly, and why do you prefer whatever you do?
Okay, so with my team, I've actually got a mixture. I've got a really good team, and I think I'd just like to take this opportunity to say I wouldn't be, or AR wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't for them. Each team member that I have plays a very big role within the running and the success of this company.
Mhm.
And that's another thing that people need to remember is that it takes many people to bring a success, not just one. So I have a mixture. I have in-house people and then I have external people. I feel that it works really well for us. And my in-house team, obviously, I have a team of freelancers. I have a marketing department that's run on after under a marketing manager. The team in England is a little bit smaller, so we only have like two or three people there. I then have external people because sometimes you know how things go, it just gets a bit overwhelming, and then at least you've got an external arm to help you as well. You
Hmm.
don't want to be able to tell the client, sorry, I don't have enough hands, I can't help you. And you also can't get someone last minute because you need to get them, you know, to do things the way you do within the company. So what works really well for us, we have a fixed team, an internal team, and then we have external people as well.
Wonderful. So, when hiring people for a construction focused agency like yours, what skills matter to you the most? Technical marketing skills or industry understanding?
So I'd say a little bit of both. and it's very difficult, to get, I think, everything in one little package. So, and it depends on the position that we're obviously fulfilling. So, let's say, for example, we're looking for new graphic designers, then we're not so fussy about what industry they've come from, or the knowledge of the construction industry, because they'll get to know that. Where that plays a very big role is when we are hiring content writers. We do find that it's beneficial if they come from the construction
Industry.
anyway industry. So
Mm.
that's why architects, draftsmen, they make really good content writers, because they know what they're talking about. They know the regulations, they know, what's right, what's wrong. And then when it comes to the marketing side, it helps with what we bring out to the people. It's very important that they have that marketing background as well, because that's what knows, this is going to work within a market, this is not going to work within a market. And in saying that, England and South Africa, they have their own teams. And the reason for that is each industry, which is also important for clients to know, the trends are different, even on LinkedIn, even with like websites. So, the US has a different trend when it comes to what they post.
Mm.
UK has a different trend, and different talking, to the audience than South Africa. So that's also
Mm.
very important when you decide to grow yourself outside of the country that you started in. It's not easy to say, okay, I'll sit in South Africa and I'll be successful in England, but not have anybody there.
Exactly. Wonderful. So, for- till now, it has been amazing. You have been, like, literally, you have been sharing amazing insights. Well,
I hope so.
how about this podcast would be like empty if we don't talk about AI, right?
Yes,
So, my next few questions would be around it. Every agency owner is talking about AI, including me and probably you as well. How is Anushka and AI consulting actually using AI inside the business today beyond just creating content, generating content like ChatGPT or anything?
yeah. So I think there's a lot of like fear around AI, if I
Mm.
could say it that way, and we're actually quite excited about the possibility of AI growing. We continue to be specialists within our construction industry, and AI, we're not saying that that will take its place, but at the same time, we feel that AI can help that. And how we use AI within our company is it helps on market research, it helps on trends, it helps on, like you said, certain content structures, that we how we can put things, marketing services, where their industry is leading. It helps with all of that. So it shouldn't be seen as a threat or we don't want to touch it. The only thing where we are very strict that we do not use AI is in generating images. We just feel that the authenticatedness of our brand, of our clients, has to be actual photos on site and what they do.
Mm. Mm.
Um, and AI, as good as AI is, and it's going to get even better, you can still see the difference between an AI generated site and an actual site. Although it's getting hard, but you can. But yes, AI, we use AI in our business, and I don't think anybody can say they don't, because it actually does create um, positive impact, for your business. It also helps where when you're writing content, where maybe you would have taken 4 hours to do something, now with the help of the research, it could take you 2.5 hours. So it
Mm.
is there to assist a business, and it definitely does assist our business as well.
So, not creating images using AI is a big differentiator for Anushka, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So, all right. So, what part of agency work do you believe? Because it is fear, right? Everybody is scared that they are going to lose their jobs. Maybe something will happen, and they will not be working after a few years. What parts of agency work do you think, or do you believe AI will replace in agency or for the marketing people? And what parts do you believe will become even more valuable because of AI?
So, I mean, AI, let's be honest, it's an amazing tool. And yes, people can argue that it can actually take the place of a marketing company, because at the moment anybody can go into AI, whether it be your chat, whether it be your Gemini, whether it be your Claude, whatever it is, and that you can tell them, this is what the message I want to bring across, this is what I want to say, and even say this is the image, and it'll spit out for you. So a lot of companies will say, so why do I need a marketing agency if I can just get someone to go on an AI course and they'll do it for you? Because you still need that personal touch of a
Mm.
marketing agent,
Mm.
which AI could never give you, as smart as what it
Exactly.
is. So that's what people need to remember. Don't be scared, embrace it, and always remember that um, there's always a cohesion that you can work together.
Mm.
There's always a side that AI cannot fulfill, that we as humans can fulfill, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, totally. So what I believe is that the people who are good at giving good input to AI, those people will be more important for
Correct.
every industry, for everything, because the output, it can give you anything, right? But the desired output, it will come only when you give the better input, right? When you
Absolutely.
ask the better questions. Previously I had a guest, he said you have to be master at asking the right questions from the AI, then you will get the right information, right things from the AI. Okay, wonderful.
Correct.
I respecting your time. Okay, so I'll have just few more questions from you,
No problem.
right? Okay, so um, what advice you would give to all the agency founders, they can follow that and improve their agency and growth?
Okay, so my 10 cents on it would be, I think my biggest piece of advice I'd give is, don't try to be everything to everybody. Within the industry, find your strengths, where that lies, and become known for that. It goes back to what we're saying. You can't have all these different elements in your business and then it doesn't work. And then I think also the biggest thing is keep learning, because our industry changes all the time. Don't stop learning, because it's only to your advantage and to your client's advantage. And then most importantly, build relationships, because businesses is still about people.
Hmm.
Agents is still about people. It's dealing with people and bringing across what they can't bring across properly. They don't know how to say that. So and finally, like I said, don't be afraid of technology, especially
Hmm.
now that we were talking about AI, isn't something to fear. It's something to embrace. The businesses and agencies that learn how to use it effectively has a significant advantage over the next few years. And like I said, just create that trust for your client and your client's brand, and then that will create trust within the industry.
All right. So my last question, it could be like bigger one because I kept it last. You can talk about it how much time you want. How does AR Constructions, your agency, grow? Like, how do you generate leads for yourself? What are the different ways you're focusing on? And I would love to know what exactly you are doing for your business development.
Okay, so as we say, we keep one of the biggest things is every week different departments will go on short courses, and which is relevant to their department, because this keeps you informed and in looped and up to date with things.
Hmm.
We are very big on team building. And the reason for that is, if you think you spend so much time at work and within reasonable expectations, you've got to be happy and you've got to be fulfilled. So that's a very big thing of mine for my staff, and I think that's the biggest reason why we don't have such a high turnover, which then results in it being an advantage for your client, because there's not turning around and things. So um, how we also bring ourselves out is, you can't be a marketing agent and not be present on any platform. You
Hmm.
can't be an agent and not put what you're doing or what you're speaking, you're preaching, also out in the industry. So that's also one of our biggest things as well, is that we make sure that we're seen within the industry that we are working with. And it's great that we take great pride in what we do. So a lot of our clients have referred us to different clients, and our name has obviously come across people's feeds. We actually have had a few overseas clients approach us now, and that's purely because of marketing. That's purely because we still put content out on LinkedIn, which is one of our biggest platforms.
Wonderful. So you're not doing any kind of paid ads for yourself for your agency? Are you doing that?
We're not at this stage. We're not doing any paid ads. We've once or twice done some Google stuff right in the beginning,
Hmm.
but everything that we're doing right now is all organic. For AR consulting, we haven't done anything paid ad, which is maybe not quite right. But at the moment, we are very successful with the organic side of things.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Anushka, for giving us time. I will definitely put Anushka's socials in the description. You can just go follow her, tease her that, okay, I came from Imran Nadir's podcast. Okay, ask different questions, like good questions, of course, relevant to your field. And yeah, just follow her. And thank you so much, Anushka.
Thank you for the opportunity. It was a real honor.
Yeah, wonderful.